go because you know what I came here to do.
I don't get paid for overtime. I'm here to fight.
What did you think of the egg excuse for Conor Benn's failed drug test?
Who?
So Conor Benn failed that drug test. He said it was because he was eating a lot of eggs.
What the fuck do I know about Conor Benn failing a drug test? What kind of question is that for me?
Good. Good. You boxing reporters have no boxing knowledge. You have no love for the sport. You're regurgitating the same question from fucking last year. You know something? Right now, Bob Arum, you're right with me for that. You're right with me for that. Good. Bob Arum wants to talk about Tyson Fury, Shakur Stevenson, Lomachenko and Haney. A potential fight with Fury and AJ. Imagine that. This man used to promote Muhammad Ali, Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvin Hagler, Thomas Hearns, George Foreman, Iran Barkley, James Toney. You could ask him so many questions about boxing. You asking him that? In 2023. Let me play it again. All right, sweep me a sit.
So Conor Benn failed that drug test. He said it was because he was eating a lot of eggs.
What the fuck do I know about Conor Benn failing a drug test?
I mean, what's the obsession with Conor Benn? Look, TalkSport, overkill. But it's in Britain. They're in Britain. It's a British fighter. How are you, an American reporter, going to ask a legendary boxing promoter about a boxer who hasn't fought for a world title yet from Britain failing a drug test last year in April of 2023? I mean, if you asked him about Amir Khan, okay, at least that's a recent story. He's promoted fights with Amir Khan, Crawford versus Khan. What you should have did is ask Bob about Conor's dad, Nigel. Because Bob used to promote him in America. All his fights in America were promoted by Don King. He used to call him his British haggler. Some knowledge for you. Maybe you can use that next time you're talking. You useless reporters. What's Conor Benn did in America? You're going to be asking Bob Arum about Conor Benn and a drug test. This guy's just a total waste man. Rick Glazer. I'm not bragging. And you may find it hard to believe or funny, but think about it. I'm more successful in boxing over the last 7 years than Al Heyman. Really? Why? Because he had to blow up. Terrible English for a start, Rick. And is in debt 900 million of other people's money to be able to stay afloat in boxing. I didn't. Big man talks like he's a big boss, has no understanding of English grammar at all. I didn't. And I'm profitable every year and have zero debt factor. Swallow that. Why, what boxing cards are you putting on? Fucking deluded. And as for Al Heyman being in debt, $900 million, I'm not saying it's impossible. Where's the receipts though? Where's the receipts? All we got is your mouth, as per usual. To me, you're not credible, because everything negative is Al Heyman, but you never got a negative story about Bob Arum. And you're supposed to be the insider feeding us information. Receipts, Rick, receipts. I have no doubt he can get hold of some good information, but he embellishes a little too much, and he's economic with the truth. And ultimately, can he be trusted with the information? So, Women's IBF World Super Bantam Champion, CHERNEKA Johnson, 28 years of age, 15 wins, 6 inside the distance, 1 loss. She is upset with Chantelle Cameron, and understandably. She says the politics in boxing is actual BS. Why should myself or Ellie lose the opportunity to fight a great fight on such an incredible fight card for women's boxing? The work that goes into starting a camp mentally and physically, and the preparations that have already gone in, and have that taken away because of behind the scenes drama that has nothing to do with the actual fighters themselves. As the champion, me and my team agreed and went back and forth with negotiations to defend my title in Dublin on the Katie Taylor and Chantelle Cameron undercard on neutral territory. There was nothing in the contract stating that due to behind the scenes drama that this defense will be moved to a smaller show in Ellie's hometown in the UK. This is unfair, and as the champion, I deserve better. I did not hesitate to give Ellie the opportunity to challenge for the title on this big card. I shouldn't be punished for this. And she tags it unfair. And the only thing I can say is she's 100% right. Now, I don't know what's happening with the money, but if it's going to a smaller hall, a smaller venue, without Katie headlining and Chantelle headlining, will they have to take reduced purses? You know, this is their first chance at getting decent money, if that's the case. And Chantelle has messed that up. And what I didn't realize is she has been in press conference situations when Shane has been training other fighters on the bill. But for some reason this time she can't hack it. There are a few conspiracy theories. The McGuigans undoubtedly created a lot of enemies, especially on that BBC One documentary about you-know-who and you-know-who's promotional company. I would imagine Chantelle's coach has got no love for the McGuigans. Maybe even more so than Chantelle, but I'll leave that there. Bam Rodriguez takes on Christian Gonzalez for the WBO flyweight title tomorrow. And if Bam is successful, Eddie is not going to wait around. I believe Robert Garcia had other ideas, but Eddie wants to make a unification between Bam and Sonny. We need a flyweight fight like that in Britain to bring some glamour to the flyweight division. We need a fight like that. Hopefully they can hold that in Britain. If not, Sonny will have to get on the plane, and wherever it's held in America is where he'll go. I was listening to Ade, and he looked a little jaded in his third fight, did Bam, against Israel Gonzalez. But see, this is it. Most the boxers are not fighting 3 world title fights in a year. And he didn't look that spectacular against Israel Gonzalez, he didn't. But it got me thinking, because, you know, Bam himself, he said he felt jaded going in because that was the 3rd hard training camp for the year. And it got me thinking, is this just a muscle memory thing? Because obviously the fighters of yesteryear were way more active than that. 3 fights in a year. And then I heard Robert Garcia talking about VERGIL ORTIZ, who he used to train. And his latest, not injury, condition, rhabdomyolysis. First take, eh? A condition that can lead to kidney failure. Many are theorizing it is a condition that can be brought about from too much hard training, strength and conditioning, sparring, etc. He was training hard for that Stanionis fight. The Stanionis pulled out with injury. And maybe VERGIL needed to slow up with his training, take a couple of weeks off. But they say VERGIL pushes himself extremely hard in the gym. Are they focusing too much on gym work rather than actual fighting? Would they be better cutting down on gym work and actually fighting in the ring more? Because to me it looks like the preparation is way harder than the actual fights. Eddie Hearn is in beef with Eddie Hearn Mark II. Now, Robert Smith, General Secretary of the board, he's confirmed he knew about the adverse finding when the results were known last year. He told Ben Shalom something different, but, you know. Ben Shalom, the promoter of the event, we're talking about AMIR Khan's case, obviously, yeah, has insisted that he had no knowledge of the failed test until the general public did earlier this week. Eddie Hearn on IFL TV earlier today refuted the claim and said people in boxing knew about this. I know a lot of people involved with that fight knew. And when I say knew, there's a difference between receiving correspondence from UCAD and knowing and hearing it has happened. Now, how would Eddie know people involved with that fight? Well, he was a SCHAEFER fucking his old man since it started. Right? So he probably did hear some shit. Yeah. Still not going to stop a lawsuit getting slapped in his face, though. Defamatory statements. Shalom responded to the statement from Hearn just hours later on the Fight Disciples podcast. I'm actually shocked to see that. And we don't like to go back and forth. We don't want to send legal letters. We don't want to threaten, but believe me, something will be going on that. That is the most defamatory thing I've ever seen said about me. Maybe a slight bit of theatrics there, Ben, with that. How about Robert lying to you that he never heard nothing when it weren't true? How about you were supposed to be informed straight away as the promoter by UCAD and you found out 14 months later via the media? I think you got bigger issues than Eddie. How come you're not going to slap no lawsuits on them? They're making you look bad, not Eddie. I mean, you yourself said, I can understand why people believe that we knew beforehand. You said it yourself. You can understand that. So it wouldn't be a mad stretch of the imagination for people to believe that, yeah, you did know. And Eddie's saying he knows people involved with the fight that knew. And when he says knew, there's a difference between receiving correspondence from UCAD and knowing and hearing it has happened. Ah, you see? Right. And that is very true. What he's saying, it has to be very true, right? Even before UCAD formally inform you, there's people everywhere. Look how the mole got out with Conor Benn's story. Where did that come from? There's people talking all the time, trying to get favors and get in someone's good graces. Do I believe Ben Shalom and Frank Warren, who said he didn't know about the Tete case until November, the fight was in July, and Tete tested positive pre-fight? No, I don't really believe him. I don't believe him. I don't believe him. Do I believe Ben Shalom, that he didn't know nothing at all? No. It seems like he's trying to deflect onto Eddie Hearn, who is Mr. Dump liability on, right? Deflect it onto Eddie rather than deal with the real issues that are with UCAD and the board. But technically Eddie spoke out of turn. Yeah, slap him with the lawsuit. Let's see how far it gets. But you better cross all your T's and dot all your I's, because there's a few inconsistencies that Ben hasn't cleared up. Like, he's let it go out there that Khan tested post-fight. Well, Eddie Hearn says you tested on the night of the fight. Is that defamation? Because if he's correct, then it's not defamation. Is that true? Or was it post-fight? And if it's night of the fight, is that before the first bell or after the finish? I'm assuming before. So once again, if it's before, someone knew a dirty athlete was going in that ring. And when I say someone knew, I'm saying someone outside UCAD, either in Ben's camp or the British Boxing Board of Control, knew that a dirty fighter was going in that ring again. But good old confidentiality is more important than you getting put in a fucking wooden box. You know, like I said yesterday, that was arguably boxer's biggest card last year. Brook and Khan. Maybe they were hoping that the B sample would go in the bin and we wouldn't hear no more about it. It didn't. Hey, and look, Eddie said he knows people involved who knew that Amir Khan had popped dirty. Was he lying? Doesn't sound like it. I mean, how did he know that Khan popped on the day of the fight? That wasn't put out in the press. The press outlets said post-fight. DOMINIC INGLE, he thinks Khan is innocent. He thinks it's contamination. He's trying to figure how Khan passed all the tests through camp and didn't get through fight night. See, even he's saying that Khan popped on fight night. When did he find that out? The press is saying post-fight. Not saying that DOMINIC knew anything that Kell didn't know. Not saying that at all. Although it wouldn't shock me if there was some trainers who knew that their fighter was fighting someone dirty, but because they wanted the payday, they let their man go in the ring and didn't say nothing. Not saying DOMINIC. I'm saying don't trust anyone. The fallout from Probellum continues. Richard Schaefer went from being a very respected, integral part of the boxing scene when he was at Golden Boy, when HBO was still around. Then that mutated into Golden Boy losing practically all their roster to the PBC. Then breaking off, doing what they did, and Richard Schaefer and Al HAYMON worked together and built their empire. Then he done the ringside, was it ringside thing? Which never really took off. Probellum, he got involved with some hoodlums, and that almost folded before it started. And the fallout continues. Sonny Edwards, he headed over to Matchroom. All the fighters are looking for new homes. Regis Prograis has just declared himself a free agent. He is currently the WBC 140-pound titleist, 34 years of age. Now, there's a lot of movement, progress, whether he fights the winner out of Taylor and Lopez, or the winner out of Coelho, Romero. That's ESPN, PBC. The Zone have a few light welters, no title holders, as far as I can remember. The fight he should be targeting, I think, is the winner out of Josh Taylor and Teofimo Lopez. But I'm figuring he wants to unify for the biggest purses. He said, I feel like now I'm really going to get all the big fights. The fights that people want to see, the big name fights, big money, all the belts. That's his goal. To clear out the division. SHIT about to get popping. A lot of SHIT about to jump off. Free agent, baby. So what's the deal with the Prograis one? He is 28-1, 24 inside the distance. The only loss, a split decision loss to Josh Taylor, or should I say majority decision loss to Josh Taylor in 2019 in the final of the World Boxing Super Series. He got back in the title picture in November of last year, knocking out Jose Sabeda in 11, one of the best performances of the year. And at 34 years of age, you wonder how none of the promoters and networks have been able to do something a little more resourceful with his career. But yo, he's a free agent, and I have no doubt the phone will be ringing quite a lot to see what they can do for him and what he can do for them. How he ended up on the likes of Pro Bellum and Triller is a travesty for American boxing that someone needs to explain, man, some of this stuff here, man. You know what I mean? Okay. AJ sparring Joe Joyce. Look at the hand speed of the first combination. He looks exactly like Lennox Lewis, not only physically, but the way he's moving his upper body and throwing his combination, the way he's moving his feet. Look at this. Look at that. He's got his hands down by his waist, matrixing Joyce's punches. Oh. A jab off the hook. Is this amateurs or pro? When is this? Look at the hand speed. The ring generalship. The way he slipped the left hook there. This is crazy. Look at that, man. He didn't even throw a jab. He just hooked straight off, and Joyce just like, wow. They were like two different eras, man. Like, AJ's boxing was like,
Yeah, I
Kick
know,
that
man.
old robotic, futuristic George Jetson.
Yeah,
crazy.
as for Joe Joyce, it was like,